said we're going to go live when some news breaks. And we were just on last night, Preston and I, doing the Conquest Collins show. And we were on the docket. We were going to talk about this GM hire, this GM move. But here it comes. I even told Preston, if you're out there somewhere, I said, Preston, listen, Fridays are our news dump day. Let's move it to Tuesday, Thursday shows because nothing happens on a Friday, right, folks? Nothing happens. Well, USC just doubled down again, showing that they are absolutely serious, folks. They are completely serious. 3 monumental hires, you guys, that is going to change the way USC is stocking its roster. I truly believe that. Start out when you got we started the cycle bringing in a guy like Chad Savage, who is just going to be an up and comer, a relentless recruiter, going to help on the offensive side of the ball for sure. Then we followed up, just the other day, bringing in Rob Ryan, something that we've been kind of hanging over our heads. Look, it's been a long time since USC's had that guy that's ready for a 55. It's been quite a long time since we had somebody that could fill those shoes. Rob Ryan, bringing his 30-plus years of NFL experience, is going to attract that kind of thing. And then, you also now have a situation where you're bringing in the GM, and that's what we've been talking about for a while. Is Lincoln doing too much? Would this freed up for him? And so the news just came down. If we want a defensive coordinator, we go across town, take little brother's defensive coordinator and D'Anton Lynn. And now we looked all the way over to South Bend and saw our longest and our dearest rival, love them or hate them, really kicking some ass and really doing so with that roster. And so USC, what do? We go over there, we take their guy, the guy that was a right-hand man, just with Marcus Freeman. And now you have a situation where USC has Chad Bowden as their big-time hire, which was a surprise, Paulie, because when we heard, my phone starts blowing up, I'm at work, and that's Paulie saying, hey, great hire, know all about this guy. So I'm gonna turn it over to you really quickly. But I just wanted to say to you guys, I told you guys last night on the show, everyone freaks out. Everyone at USC just freaks out. And then slowly they see the process. I told you guys this would not be a 2 or 3 year turnaround. I've been saying that for a while. It's the process. Why they locked up Lincoln Riley for 10 years. I think you guys are starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Paulie, tell the people here about, what I want to do is maybe you could talk about, for those that aren't familiar with Bowden, maybe you could talk about his dad, talk about his upbringing here in Southern California, talk about that drive, that hustle he got to, and what you think he's going to bring to the program.
Well, first of all, it's, I'm really excited about this hire today. I almost fell out of my seat. The first thing I did was text him about it. But getting into Chad Bowden here, his father is actually one of my favorite GMs of all time. Jim Bowden. He's one of the greatest GMs in the history of baseball. He's responsible for finding some of the best talent that you could imagine. He was responsible. He was in charge of player personnel. He was a player personnel director for the Cincinnati Reds in 1990. So he was there when he was responsible for finding guys like Eric Davis, Chris Sabo, those kind of guys. And then by the age of 31, the Reds hired him as the youngest GM in the history of baseball. He ends up winning Executive of the Year. This guy was responsible for bringing, with his drive and his motivation that he's known for, Mr. Jim Bowden brings in guys like Ken Griffey Jr. And guess who was there standing right by his side while he's in negotiations trying to get Ken Griffey Jr. over? Mr. Chad Bowden. He was just a kid. Since he was a young boy, all he's ever wanted to do was compete with his father. I mean, I've read articles about it where he is such a competitive guy, just like his father. And his ultimate goal is he wants to have a better career than his father. He's all about the drive and the dedication, and he's always wanted to be a GM. This guy's done it the hard way. And ever since, he's bounced around. His father was in the major league, so he bounced around a lot. He was playing high school football in Kentucky. This guy was a new student and played in a really tough league where they didn't accept outsiders, but he came in, won the entire team over, ends up playing the last game of the season, broken nose, and instead of going to the hospital, he waits till the game's over, ends up going at 9 o'clock to get his nose fixed and taken care of. And then from then on, that's when the legend of Chad Bowden started, where he was just legendary as far as a high school guy. Man, his teammates love him. People just swear by him. And then he decides, believe it or not, his father and Chris Collinsworth, the Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, are best friends. And his son, Jack, and Chad are best friends. They decide, you know what, we want to be big. We want to be big boys and move out to Los Angeles. And sure enough, the dads let them move out there, and they learned the hard way because Pops, they weren't paying for any of it. These kids had to hustle their way. I mean, for Christ, Chad started off working at a call center in Los Angeles, hustling, making 350 calls a day, just trying to make ends meet and pay for his rent. They lived in a studio apartment, both of these guys. Collinsworth has now moved on. But before I get to that point, they used to motivate each other. One of them wanted to be a sportscaster, and Chad wanted to be a GM. And they would motivate each other every day. They were such driven individuals. They're just coming up the hard way, learning the hard way. And this is what basically it caused the legend of Chad Bowden. That's what they call it, the legend of Chad Bowden. This guy is such a driven and motivated individual. He moves into Cincinnati. He gets his first gig as a Cincinnati assistant there, moves up the ranks, ends up going to Notre Dame, and he ends up being Marcus Freeman's right-hand man. Decisions were not made without Chad Bowden. But what I'm getting at as far as what he's been through, why I'm so excited about this is because just because of what he went through and the way that he came up, nothing was handed to Chad. He worked his way up into this position. The guy, just like his father, is born with this ability to evaluate talent. Jim, his father, was notorious for it. I mean, Hall of Fame status when it comes to talent evaluator, and his son has inherited the same thing. You look at the way those Notre Dame teams are built, that has Bowden written all over it. Strong foundation, good kids that are coming in, good, strong academics. I mean, the guy is just all over. From top to bottom, the guy is just, he's amazing when it comes to that. He knows what he's looking for when it comes to building a program. And like I said, you see what he did at Notre Dame. I mean, they were playing in the national title game with a bunch of solid players, blue collar type of kids that want to play for the love of the game. And he worked with a minimal NIL type of budget, but now he's coming over to us, and he does have some LA experience. He knows what LA is all about, and this was just an opportunity he couldn't turn down. And I am so excited. This is the type of guy where he's going to walk into meetings with parents, with families, and he's going to win these people over with his charm, his charisma. He is such a talented guy. I can't begin to tell you how much of a grand slam hire this is. And you team him up with a young recruiter like Chad Savage that we just hired, yep. And two young foundation pieces that we get to work with. This is what I've been saying all along when it comes to USC and what Jen Cohen has been doing for us here. She's been getting us back on track and building us the right way. From top to bottom, you're starting to see how we're starting to become that world-class organization that we are. We're amazing. We are USC, and we're getting back to that. So I'm telling you, I'm even getting goosebumps even thinking about this, man.
Well, let's pull back from that. Yeah, let's pull back from that a little bit. And look at that, and let's give Jen Cohen some flowers, because let's pull it way back.
Yeah, let's do it.
So we all know about Bowden Sosna pulling off the coup, bringing Lincoln Riley over here to USC. That's we know that. But I will say, and I will tell you, Gabe has done a good job. I know I've been here battling our chat to explain to you guys that things aren't going well, but it has nothing to do with the fact that Jennifer Cohen, who was the AD over at Washington, who was the person that, yes, she hired Jimmy Lake, but saw the issue, got rid of Jimmy Lake, replaced him with a guy that's doing pretty good, Paulie. DeBoer came in and really just infuse some energy into that program that had been missing since Coach Pete had left. So you have a situation where she knows what to do. So she comes to SC. We knew there were issues on defense side of the ball. So what does she do? She goes out and gets D'Anton Lynn. She goes across town, pulls Lynn over here, brings him in, and then starts to fill in. They retain Shaun Nua, which is a great call. They get Doug Belk, again, a guy that's been a DC, great recruiter, as we've been seeing in the 26 class. You go in and get a Matt Entz, who was a national title coach at the FCS level for many years. Bring him as our linebacker coach. And then you go get Coach Henney. And you do these kind of big boy moves that USC hasn't been doing. You get a Lincoln Riley. You bring in that defensive staff. And then it just keeps going. Penn State, after Tom Allen left, needed a DC. They made a hard run. They came all the way out here to California to woo him. And that Jennifer Cohen and USC and Lincoln Riley as well, they said defense is where we're going to win our football. And they did that. And so now you have a situation where those guys are eating a lot of crow. All those Jen Cohen haters out there that we've had to kind of fend off for the past, 2 years. You guys, are you happy yet? Are you guys happy yet? Then they go out and our defense looks really good. We just lost Matt Neds. Oh, I'll tell you what. Why don't we pick up a guy who has 30 years of experience that comes from the Ryan coaching tree? By the way, he is a Ryan. Let's grab Rob Ryan. Let's have that kind of audacious plan for this program. And I kept telling people, you guys got to slow down. Everyone wants instant satisfaction. You had that great season in 2022, that magical season that Caleb made a big part. But that thing was all smoke and mirrors. It really was. What we had for a roster, it was a testament, the fact that they won that many games, and to the players and to the coaches, that they were actually able to win those 11 games. And then the last 2 years, you see a lot of people jumping off the ship. Well, I guess now, Paulie, there's a lot of things to look forward to here, and maybe we can move into the fact. Let's talk about the recruiting aspect of this, because we know we have probably one of the highest paid coaching staffs in America. We know that they're all proven guys that can really develop. But let's shift over into that roster development piece of this, because I think that's really, if you look at the guys that were playing in the playoffs and you look at our team, you saw roster differences.
Yeah, the development part of it is what excites me the most. And what we're doing is, you can see Jen's somewhat of a visionary when it comes to that part of it, that whole development process, the coaches, their visions that they have. This is what I'm excited about is they're planning ahead, and they're bringing in the best possible coaches to show these recruits that this is what we're about. You want to get to the league? We're gonna arm you with the tools that you need to succeed and become that player at that next level, and give you those opportunities to make you the better player. The proof is there. I don't know how many players I can go on and name a list of players that just in the one season that we had with some of these coaches that have turned into NFL prospects already, just by that alone. And then you hire a guy that's a great talent evaluator that can handle the NIL, the transfer part of it as well. It's just icing on top of the cake there, man. This is just a great move. All in all, it's just all fallen into place, Tim, and I'm really excited about it.
I think it's pretty safe to say that we are not going to be finishing outside the top 10 anymore in recruiting.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that really gave me pause about the Lincoln Riley experience so far, because there's no reason why USC should be finishing outside the top 10. Now, we had to deal with some of the stay doubted. I mean, come on, USC. I mean, our NIL was just the weirdest stuff to begin with. We were doing it the right way, like USC always says they want to do things the right way, follow the letter of the law. I mean, really, honestly, that's just because we got so used to getting hammered. Everyone do the same thing, and then USC we made an example of. That's clear. We've seen that for decades. But USC was always seemed like they were a step behind in NIL, and with the ruling and with the Tennessee ruling, it looked like USC flat out said, we're opening this thing up. We've been hearing from people I trust that the money is there. So the money is there. It's how have we been using that money? How have we been getting this roster going? Who's scouting these guys? Because that's the one thing that, Paulie, you got me really excited about is this young man's ability to, just like the old days. It's like with free agency, in baseball. I mean, I remember back in the day when, by the way, so when you Duck fans compare, when you guys or Ohio State fans, when you guys compare yourselves to the Dodgers and start pointing fingers, because I'm a Dodger fan, here's the difference. Duck fans, not Ohio State fans so much, but Duck fans, they've been there before, and they did it by building some amazing. The Dodgers for years had the best farm system in baseball. I mean, it's just what they did. It's why these rookie of the year after rookie of the year constantly. Hang on, callers. We're taking calls in a moment. If you want to hang out in the background, you can. But we're going to talk for a little bit. Then we're going to take the calls. Okay. But the Dodgers have done it over and over and over again and shown they do it. So it's not just money. Yes, they're doing money now. There's no doubt about the filthiness that they're doing right now. But I am going to say to you guys that USC has that money. Mm-hmm. It's been a head scratch for everybody trying to figure out why can't we get out of our own way. It just seems like USC, first the NCAA decided they're going to clamp down some ridiculous sanctions on trumped up charges against USC. And anyone with any objectivity knows that's true. But then USC spent the better part, well over a decade, almost 15 years, just tripping over their own stuff, man. And now it finally looks like under, by the way, Carol Folt, under Jen Cohen that they're turning this thing around from the top on down, and Lincoln Riley is getting the support, and his football team is getting the support, everything that they need. And, I want to believe this is a long game. That's not true. USC's made some really bad mistakes. Lincoln Riley's made some bad mistakes along the way. But Trojan fans, it's looking pretty damn bright right now. Yes. So we can get into that a little bit later. Let's take some calls, Paulie. What do you think?
You got it, man. I'm ready. I'm fired up. I love this.
I got a bunch left to talk about, but yeah, let's do it. Let's take a call. I know this phone number, that's why we're gonna grab it really quick. What's up, Adam? How you doing?
Hey Tim, how's it going? Thanks for taking my call.
Speaking of Carol Folt, are we gonna turn our voice around on Carol Folt there, Mr. Lamparello?
I am going to give Carol Folt credit where credit is due, and she does deserve some degree of credit. So yes.
Awesome. What's on your mind? I love to mess with Adam. No, he loves to mess with me right back. You watch, so we'll see.
So I guess when I look back at this season and I look forward to the schedule for next season, I'm curious, Tim, what is your opinion of Lincoln Riley as a head coach, and where do you think we need to improve? And my last question is, what is your opinion of 3-star recruits? Do you think that they can be developed to be significant contributors, or do you think that we should be focusing on getting as many 4-stars as possible?
All right. Well, the first one you asked me about Lincoln Riley, and then Paulie, I'll take yours right after mine. I'm going to tell you.
Too many questions.
No, it's two. It's perfect. First off, I've been on the Lincoln Riley bus since he got here, and
right.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. My faith, my 100% faith, has absolutely been rattled. I'm not gonna tell you that I've been this guy, this 100% zealot the entire time. Recently, I'm gonna say as recent as towards the middle end of last season, I really started to have not some doubts about Riley, but if Riley would be able to make it work at USC, if that makes sense. It wasn't as much I was doubting Lincoln Riley. I was beginning to doubt if Lincoln Riley can make it happen here at USC because of. Let's listen. USC and Los Angeles. It's unique. It's unique out here. I mean, that's a nice way to say it. I love it. I'm a native Angelino. It's unique out here. It has its upsides, and it presents both the school USC and Los Angeles also presents some hurdles you have to go through. And I think that initially, everyone got really excited about that 22 season. It's probably the worst thing that ever could have happened to Lincoln Riley and that team, but it just seemed like in the middle of the season last year, just these close games, and then a loss to Maryland. I mean, you could handle a lot of stuff, but that loss to Maryland is one of the biggest head scratchers of all time.
Oh,
So I don't think I was still high on Lincoln Riley as a coach. Like everyone brings up the clock management, this, that, blah, blah. Honestly, I don't see it. I don't see a lot of the comments people make. Yes, all coaches make some blunders during a game, and I think he has had a lot on his plate, but having people talk about having him not call plays anymore, Paulie.
Yeah.
There's some ridiculous things I've seen thrown out there. I don't get it. But this now is showing me the one issue that USC has had. I said it about this time last year, but then we thought we had rakes coming in. We thought we had we've bolstered some depth. We knew that we thought the Bears come back to have a second strong year. We're like, okay, finally we fixed this. People don't realize they lost Dejon Benton, right? I keep saying Benton. Is it Benton or I can't remember. Anyway, we lost like 3 guys. It wasn't just Bear in the middle of the season. It wasn't just losing rakes before the season. They lost like 3 defensive tackles on a squad that probably needed to pick up 1 or 2 more.
Yeah.
And we know that was a ticking time bomb.
Right.
So did I think that Lincoln Riley couldn't coach? Did I think that there was his clock management or this, that? I mean, I don't understand why he didn't run the ball more. I mean, I think everyone in the whole world except for Lincoln Riley. Maybe Lincoln Riley will tell us that one day. He probably has a good reason for it, to be honest with you. Couldn't understand that one. But I'm still trying to figure out myself really why our roster looks the way it does. And I just think that that's why you're seeing a guy like Savage come in. That's why you're seeing Bowden come in. I think now with those 2 additions, USC is now kind of finishing those last pieces to this because we have some great developers and pretty good relationship guys. I mean, I don't think anyone's better out there probably than Shaun Nua and Coach Henney, and Coach Belk. But I mean a young up and coming dude like Savage, a young up and coming guy like Bowden who are going to hammer those phones, and just be constantly in contact. And like Paulie was talking about, the ability, what Pete Carroll did so well, you brought up the 3-star person, right? I don't think Pete gave a shit what someone was as a star. He'd go out, he'd evaluate with his own eyeballs and say, I want that dude. Yep. I don't care what his ranking. And we used to see it all the time. Guys would come in underweight. Yeah. Guys would come in underweight on the West Coast as offensive linemen. Boom. All of a sudden they're pressing for All-American status. I've said this before. I think they do a great job at what they do, but the evaluations, look, you know what? You want to have some fun sometime? Go to 247 and look up the top 20 recruits, right? All-time 20 recruits for USC.
Right.
It's a who's who of misses. There's some ballers in there, and there's some great Trojans in there, but they are not even close to the top 20 football players that have helped us to win during the Pete Carroll years and since then. It's not even close. They got some right, like, they got Sua in there. They've got some guys they got right, but they got a lot wrong. So when you ask me about the recruiting rankings, they're very good. Do you want more 5 stars or 4 stars? Yeah, because a lot of that is correct. You don't want a roster full of 3 stars. You're going to lose. But it's not the science that people try to make it. So I know, Paulie, what do you think? What's your faith? What's your faith in?
The thing with Riley is he came in as the wonder kid. This guy was just dominating, just doing things. He was so innovative in his play calling when he was with Oklahoma, and it was blowing people's minds. They had no idea what was going on. He had a steady pipeline coming in of recruits that the Oklahoma name was strong at the time. And then he comes in, and what I see about Riley, of course, everybody's faith is a little rattled right now because of the situation. But I just think really it's just a matter of him growing up as a coach and evolving as a coach. And on top of that, maybe underestimating how daunting of a task this was. A lot of times people think that they could just come in to a situation like this and turn it around immediately. Let's just say there had been years of decline already in this program to a point where we were rock bottom. Then you said that one magical year that happened was probably the worst thing that happened in his career because the expectations were off the charts after that. But I see him evolving as a coach. There's things that he's doing, focusing on defense now, doing a lot of things where he's bringing in these top-notch coaches. As far as the talent evaluation goes, every coach needs help in that. There's very few coaches out in the NFL or even in the collegiate ranks that can go out there and evaluate talent. You need that guy with the special eye that knows what this team needs. And so you look at the Pete Carroll days, a lot of it was, Eddie O going out there, and there was a lot of guys out there pounding the pavement that had great noses for talent. And when it comes to the 3-star thing, Adam, I look at a guy like Gus Cordova, who's a 3-star guy, but with 5-star talent to me. I mean, it's because of his drive and his will to me that makes him a 5-star. Is he as explosive as a Thanos Stewart? Probably not. But he does have the will and the drive to be a better player. You look at a Jacoby Lane, he was a 3-star athlete, and now the guy's playing at an All-American level, possibly.
Are you sure about that?
Yes, he was.
Jacoby was 3.
Jacoby was 3. I can almost guarantee you that he was a 3-star coming in. And so it's the development.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Adam. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
Well, the last thing I'll say, because I don't want to hold up other callers, is that, like, Tim, last year at this time, I was saying Lincoln Riley should be fired. But after this year, I actually have a much better opinion of Lincoln Riley, ironically, because you know what? He's a very smart coach. We were in every game. And most importantly, the last 2 seasons have exposed weaknesses in him that he has clearly recognized and is working hard to change.
You got it.
And I think the Texas A&M game was a step in the right direction. I think Lincoln Riley is on the same upward trajectory as our roster. And I think if we stick with him, I've changed my mind, we are going to be a very talented team in a couple of years. So, even though we were, didn't have a great record, I thought Riley showed himself to be a good coach, and I support him now. So thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thank you. Fight on, Adam. Fight on, brother.
I'll leave it. The only where I departed from you, Adam, was again, I think your takes on administration. I think that your criticisms of Lincoln Riley have been pretty level and pretty fair. I'm certainly not going to sit up here and apologize for a lot of stuff that Lincoln Riley did. I think you were maybe a little ahead of the curve on me, as far as pointing out some of the things that didn't look right. But I also like the fact that you said that. I mean, it seems like when there's a problem, he's fixing it. People talk about him being stubborn, but it seems like, either he's getting outside advice right? Or he's realizing himself that there are some aspects of his program that just can't be run the way he used to run it, and he's changing it, and rightfully so. I mean, we have to realize football's changed a lot in the last 5 years, quite a bit. So even the people that have additional like Riley's been around. This isn't his first rodeo. He's been around college football now, coaching at this kind of a level for almost 10 years, right? I mean, so going back to being an office coordinator and then becoming a head coach. But everything's changed, and it's changed. It's chased coaches out of this profession, and I think a lot of them are going to adapt or die. I mean, I think you see a lot of coaches that are going to need to adapt, or the ones we used to think were great coaches, they may fade or burn out or go to the NFL because this is a new animal.
Yeah, and I think the best coaches are great men, and great men, in my view, acknowledge their weaknesses, they learn their lessons, and they seek to improve. And I think he's doing that. And I have to say, Tim, 1 year later, I have faith in him again. So I think the future is going to be bright.
Good stuff, Adam.
Thanks again for taking my call, guys.
Thank you. Great call.
Care, Adam.
Appreciate
Fight
it.
On.
All right, fight on. Thanks a lot, guys.
All right. Hey, way to start it off, Adam.
That was a great call.
We haven't had a call from Adam in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, this is good news like this. We'll bring it along all the time. So I got another call. Hi, caller. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
This is Tim.
Oh, hey, what's up, Dad? How you doing?
Frank.
How you doing, sir?
Doing fine, Tim. And I want to say hi to Paulie.
Hello, sir. How are you?
And it's a fabulous. I've been listening to you. Fabulous edition. So much good information. The old timer like me, 58 years with season tickets, I've seen the ups and downs, and I don't want to bore Tim in because he's heard this before. But John McKay was my idol when I grew up, and I'll tell you something. It was made way back when, but some of the things he did still make sense today. And this situation right now matches up with what I talked about when Tim first started the program. You have to hit certain high spots. You have to hit the right coaches being hired. You have to recruit first linemen, and on both sides. Get to that point. Then you go after the glory man. They just first start with the defense, and then you go to the offense. John McKay and all these other coaches, including Lincoln Riley, had that expertise as a genius on the offense, but they were a little bit negligent on the defense. John McKay, they made a mistake. After the second year, they were going to fire him. He didn't get fired. What happened? You have to be patient. And it's hard in this world today, I know, to be patient. But we're being patient, and when it's paid off, then be patient. We obviously have the right people on top. They realized they were not strong in the middle. Now they strengthen us up unbelievably from the descriptions I've heard today. And it makes a guy like me smile. I think things are going tremendously in the right direction. I still have faith I'll have another winner. I still have faith I have another winner. We had Pete Carroll. I still have faith now that we're another winner. But thanks a lot, Jeff, for letting that in, because all the things you're talking about today are starting to fill in the blanks, and they are filling in the blanks. And we're going to have a winner. Fight on.
Fight on, Dad.
Listen, fight on.
Nobody knows this program more than you, Dad. And if you're giving it your stamp of approval, then that absolutely does mean a lot. And my dad has said that from the beginning, and it's true. McKay started with the lines, and if you're gonna have an idle young people out there, pick someone like John McKay, because again, talk about a winner. Talk about somebody who came to USC when USC was on probation. By the way, when he got there, rough couple of years, turned it around, and SC never looked back. Really, I mean, it was some meek times at USC for a couple of decades in the 40s and the 50s. Then John McKay got here in 60 and it just absolutely turned this place around. I mean, student body right, the I formation, all this innovative stuff with offensive coach. All you people that tell me we need a defensive coach, John McKay was an offensive coach. So great call. Listen, Gil Marin, great friend of the show, talking about Ryan Day. So Tim, you saw what happened when Day gave the play calling duties to Chip. Also, if you can't figure out why Lincoln didn't stick to the run on numerous occasions, then it has to be possibly play calling. Or Gil, I love you and respect you. Or it could be the read, because that quarterback, and a lot of times they have the choice between running the ball and passing the ball. I mean, you see that all the time. Do they keep it at that mesh point, or do they hand the ball off? So there's a lot of options. It's not always play calling. Going back to the Day comment, Ryan Day wishes he could coach and do play calls like Lincoln Riley. I'm sorry. The reason why you brought Chip Kelly in, because Ryan Day wasn't getting it done. Dude had the most amazing cast of receivers and running backs and quarterbacks come through there, and they were an amazing offense, but they struggled at times as well. There's a reason why Chip came in. Chip Kelly, not a great recruiter. My God, not even a recruiter.
No.
Not a great head coach, but the man can call plays. And if you ask me, who would I want calling my plays, Ryan Day or Chip Kelly? In a heartbeat, I take Chip Kelly.
No doubt, Tim. No doubt.
Game planning, and on game day, I'm taking Chip Kelly. A big reason why, and I said this immediately when they hired Chip Kelly. I went, oh shit. I looked at their running backs. I looked at Will Howard, and I said, these guys are good. Perfect match for what Chip Kelly's going to do. It doesn't help him an all-world freshman receiver, but I mean, do not get this twisted. Ryan Day cannot hold Riley's jockstrap. Sorry.
Not even close.
I'm sorry. Congratulations, Ohio State. You are the national champions, but you're the national champions because he stepped aside and let an elite play caller step up and do the work for him. And that's exactly what happened. Lincoln Riley is an elite play caller. And so that's my only point, Gil. I've mad respect for you, but you don't hire someone. The reason why we hired him was for his offense, his quarterbacks, and him calling plays. I mean, he's elite. If you could find someone, and he said this after practice, I was standing 2 feet from him. He said, if I ever find the day where there's a better option than me calling the plays, I'm going to do it. I believe him. Who out there right now are you going to hand the keys over to this offense that you think would do a better job than Lincoln Riley? And I've said this before in the past. I don't know if I've ever done this before, but if you're worried about the game, calling the game and overseeing the game, bring in someone over his shoulder for that. Don't take the playbook out of his hands. Maybe have someone there on the headset talking about strategy, keeping, on the giving him all the information for the analytics, all that kind of stuff, watching the clock, doing this, that kind of stuff. Have someone do that. Don't take the playbook out of his hand. I think that'd be a huge mistake. Paulie, am I crazy?
No, you're not. Actually, everything you said is right on. I mean, you hit it right on the head. There's just no way. You look at Will Howard, the development he had under Chip Kelly, and Chip Kelly's one of those guys. Nick Saban didn't want to deal with the NIL. Chip Kelly didn't want to have anything to do with it. He's comfortable just turning the head coaching stuff over and calling plays. But that's what he's meant to do. He's really not that great of a coach, but when it comes to calling plays, that guy's pretty fantastic when he does that. Ryan Day, that's a knock on him. He didn't know how to come back from coming back from behind. He struggled with that. A lot of the offense was just stagnant a lot of times. And, you get Chip in and they looked like they were a little rough at first, but then they started rolling towards the end there. And I attribute that to the Chip Kelly effect there, 100%. 100%. Yeah.
And so again, what they did in Columbus is amazing. The roster they put together, that's not head coaching, and I'll get pushback. I know exactly who's going to give me pushback on that one, but it's not.
Yeah.
Give Lincoln Riley that roster.
Yeah. Wow.
What's USC's record? I know,
yeah.
but Tim, you have to get that roster. You're right. That's where Lincoln Riley was falling short. But guess what, guys? They just fixed that problem. They just brought in 2 guys that are going to change the recruiting. USC is not finishing outside the top 10 in recruiting again. No matter how much the 3 companies in Tennessee, no matter how Nashville's a beautiful place, but they squished all 3 of those places. 2 of them, I believe, were in the same building when I looked up the addresses. I'm not even kidding. Someone fact check that for me. They're all in Nashville, Tennessee. All 3 of the major big companies. You know who they are.
Yeah.
I don't care what they say. Yes, stars matter. Yes, especially the 24/7. They do a great job, but it's not a science. I look at guys. So, for instance, how did you guys like Desmond Stevens last year? He's a 3-star. He's going to be something special.
Yes.
Then there's guys we haven't seen yet. Like, well, how'd you guys like Jade Abasiri? He's just showing what he can do on just he's just cutting his teeth. Watch that guy as a sophomore and a junior. Watch him this year. He was a 3-star. So I'm not going to be hung up on 3-star. Brian Jackson, we saw what he did. 3-star.
3-star.
You can't make a living off of 3 stars, but just to say because you're not a 4-star and you're not going to contribute is just absolutely absurd. Hayden Treater, I'll keep saying that. I've been saying it since, I'm kind of a homer. He came on the show. That helps.
Joey Olsen.
But Joey Olsen, 3-star. That headed cabbage, right? I mean, listen, I'm telling you, those guys on the field are going to show you that the star system, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, there is something to it. But we've had some 5 stars come through here pretty recently that haven't produced.
Yeah, Foreman, one of them.
There were guys. We don't on the show. We don't name the names. We all know who they are. Because you know what? Because you know what? Those young men didn't give themselves 5 stars.
He's doing great at Fresno State, by the way, everyone. He's really
right. But I have a policy of not saying their names. We all know who they are. They did not say, I'm a 5-star. And they stamp, I'm saying, like those guys that give themselves a nickname. They didn't do that. The industry did that to those young men and probably put a lot of pressure on them to perform that maybe might have hindered the way that things worked out for them. I mean, who knows how this stuff goes? Being young and having a big weight on your shoulders to perform, can kind of screw things up. But these guys didn't proclaim themselves 5 stars. They're not. I mean, and then though they're a bust, some people don't understand, that the quarterback can have an injury in his senior year and it just never gets sorted out. And he's playing behind a Heisman Trophy winner, and that kind of messes your head and things kind of get off track. It's not his fault, that someone called him a 5-star. A running back in that same class, 5-star, never really materialized. Talk about moving. He was a running back. Talk about moving him to receiver, making him a slot receiver. Didn't really ever work out for him. He never said, Lika Riley didn't call him a 5-star. USC didn't call him a 5-star. He didn't call himself a 5-star. Those 3 companies in Nashville called him a 5-star. And then people on message boards call him a bust. I think that's bullshit. He's just a player that's trying to do the best he can, Paulie. So, Look, they do a good job. They get about half of it right. That means they get about half of it wrong. Right? So don't freak out when you don't get X amount of players. But it is proven. If you're not finishing in that top 10, outside the anomaly, was it Michigan had some classes, but then they had a super class of like 6-year seniors, and they had all these guys coming together. It was a perfect storm. Guys stayed. That can happen.
Yeah.
But the flip side is look at an Oregon, one of the best teams money can buy. Not the best coaching staff in the world, not the best development, but they're great recruiters and they got a lot of money. Yeah. How'd that work out against Ohio State?
And we still have some guys on this roster that are a prime example of, I guess, kind of the old school way where they came in as 3 stars or whatever, but they know their role and they're waiting for their opportunity. And thank God they're still willing to stick around. A lot of players tend to just bail and leave, but there's guys on our roster now. You got a guy like Lorenzo Cowan, Marquise Gallegos, guys like that really they had high expectations, but yet they know the situation they're dealing with. There's talent ahead of them, but they're waiting for their opportunity, and it'll come for them. But I just appreciate those kind of players that are willing to stick it out.
And year out, it just shows. I mean, So on one note, I would be lying to you that if I told you that I haven't been following. Well, I was following Ryan's site to USC Football.com since I was at USC since the 90s, the late 90s. I've just been on them. I was on them for like decades on the message board. I kind of got burned out on that because I will tell you, even the message boards changed at some point. It just got weird. Just got a bit too like people got really weird on message boards. Maybe I just got old. Maybe it's just the old man in me or something, but it just got pretty weird. So I kind of kicked back from that. But the reporting, the recruiting you get, I mean, top notch. The Ryan site, the WRSC site as well. You guys, we're really spoiled in this space. The Rivals guys, they all do a really good job at covering USC. I talk about 247 the most because that's my subscription. I'm not getting all 3 of them. But I've met a lot of them, most of them, and they all do a great job. And I don't envy their job. I mean, I drove out to Corona like one time, you know what I mean, to watch the Corona Centennial Mater Dei game. I still have no idea why that wasn't played in Santa Ana, why it was all the way out in Corona, but that's beside the point. They do their evaluations. They do a great job. Gerard Martinez has been doing it forever, you guys. And few do it better than those guys, but it's still not a science, and no one's going to be able to ever tell me. And I don't think they claim it to be a science, but it's I wouldn't get hung up on those stars at all. Listen, this is a call-in show, 888-997-4539. Give us a call. We'd love to hear from you. Great day to be a Trojan. One thing I would say that you guys, this is a hell of a turnaround. I mean, I don't know where did USC finish? I mean, I seriously, this is true. I don't know where it finished. What did SC finish in for the 25 class? Like 15, 13?
Yeah, around there, about 14, I think it was in it. Yeah, but now with Chad now, Chad Bowden, you hit it right on the head earlier when you said you look at the Notre Dame classes that they were able to produce, and even him taking part in Cincinnati and that whole run they had. Those recruiting classes were always solid. Notre Dame's always a top 10 class, and I can't wait for us to be there. We need to be there in order to compete for be in that playoff contention, and we're doing well right now. We started the year off for 25 and 26. We got some really talented kids, and more so now. I think the buzz is starting to catch on now, Tim, with these hires that we have, because this means a lot. Believe it or not, the coaching, the relationships. As much as people say it's about the money, you know what? Of course, it's part of it, but really, there's still young men out there that want to be developed and want to be coached the right way. And I think we're just doing they're doing an outstanding job providing us with that. Yeah.
I couldn't say it better myself. You guys, we got Adam Lamparello. Thank you so much, Adam. Wow, $50. Just because Riley was not the elite coach we envisioned does not mean that he cannot become an elite coach. He is on his way to getting there. Give it 2 years. And I would add to that, if he's not an elite coach, he sure showed it at his last job. I mean, he was an interception away against Georgia, from having a chance to face that Alabama team, right? But
so close.
I mean, he got them there. It was on numerous occasions. We could talk about why he didn't later on, roster issues, et cetera. But I mean, how many playoffs, how many Heismans, how many 10-win seasons, how many Big 12 championships did he win? Do these things not make? I guess it depends on your level of elite. If you have to win a national championship to be elite, then yeah, he's not an elite coach. But he's done pretty much everything except that. He's gotten to the playoffs again numerous times. And I think maybe I like it. I would change it a little bit. I'd say Lincoln Riley hasn't given us the elite season that we thought we were going to get. Because I think, again, I think he's a great coach. I think he was a great coach. I think he is a great coach. I think that he hasn't done a great job of building this program. That was one of the things that Gabe said pretty early on when I started talking to him, is he started going, well, maybe he's just not really good at building a program. Mark Rogers for his, criticisms of Lincoln Riley, he did say very clearly, he's like, well, let's see what he does at USC building a program. He took over the program from Bob Stoops. I always go around and around with people about that, because was it Bob Stoops that was keeping Oklahoma afloat, or was it that Lincoln Riley came in and infused a big shot of offense into that? Because we know they weren't winning with their defense anymore.
Well, yeah.
And in the year before they got there, I believe they lost 4 or 5 games the year before Lincoln Riley came in as the OC. And then Bob Stoops is just going to step aside for anybody. Bob Stoops saw him. Bob Stoops, who knows a lot about football, saw something enough in him to say, maybe this is the time for me to step aside, because we can't lose this guy. Because say what you want about Bob Stoops, he loves Oklahoma. And I think he stepped aside because he thought that Lincoln Riley, I think that's probably why I don't know, but maybe that's why when he left, maybe that was hard on Bob Stoops, the fact that, he loves Oklahoma so much.
But Tim, oh, go ahead, Tim. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm good.
That first year with Lincoln was there. It just gave us a little taste of what he's capable of doing when he has the right type of player. People say, why can't he do that? Well, because we don't have a Jordan Addison right now, who is tearing up the NFL, by the way, just to give you an idea of how good he was when he was at USC. We had guys like that were really huge. Then we had the role players, the guys like Travis Dye, that the team leader that would hold us together through thick and thin. And then you had the magic of Caleb. That was just a unique situation there. But when his play calling was never called into question during that time there. But you know what? There's, once we had the drop off, I mean, everybody's been so critical of him. And, maybe, who knows, maybe he started down himself a little bit in certain situations. But then there's times where if you look very closely and he starts dialing it up, there's been some games where I'm like, wow, look at this guy, man. He's really blowing my mind with some of these play calls right now. But at the same time, I see him evolving now, and he's putting together a unit like with Makai Lemon and just certain types of players that they kept around where I could see them, what they're trying to do. And I look for them to be pretty explosive this year, especially in the receiving department. I know we do need probably another veteran presence in there somewhere, but I think it's going to be more of a balanced team, and I'm just waiting to see who's going to be the explosive guy this year.
Yeah, you brought up the Addison. I remember Matt Zemek bringing up that fact clearly in that season where they struggled or whatever. I'll get that in a second. Mekhi Blackmon, and so we always talk about how Caleb Williams owes a lot to his offensive line.
Oh,
for that Heisman Trophy.
No doubt.
Hey, caller, hold on 1 second. We will be right with you. I'll tell you what, Mekhi Blackmon be able to shut down one side of the field. I don't think USC wins as many games as they did without him doing that. And there was this guy, do you remember him? He was kind of a one-man wrecking crew, Tuli Tuipulotu. He was pretty good on defense. He was pretty good. And so those two guys kind of with maybe duct tape kept that defense together that Grinch was trying to run. But those two guys were just as important to 11-win season and to because let's face it, it's a team award. It really is. Yeah. And without some of those wins, maybe Caleb, doesn't win the Heisman. So having those two guys in, we can't forget about that. But the Addison point you just brought up, bringing in Jordan Addison that year was that piece. And we've had great guys, like we've had Taj, and you talk about the guys we have on the team right now. We've had, Brendan Rice. We've had some great receivers. But we just, since Mekhi Blackmon, since Jordan Addison, we just haven't had that guy that's like, look what he's doing for the Vikings right now, right? He's just a next level receiver.
Definitely.
USC needs to get, and that's Savage is on that. I'm telling you guys right now that get ready. We're ready to recruit. All the pieces are finally, that capstone was finally put in place, you guys. And that's what this GM. I can't wait. The situation at USC is trending up. Let's just put it that way. Hi, caller. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Rick, calling from LA.
Hi, Rick. First time caller?
No, I've called before.
Rick. Okay. Has it been a while? Well, Rick, what's on your mind?
It's been a while. And now I just feel like the universe is finally in order. Finally, we can exhale. Finally, we can look for our program to be that rocket ship that he's talked about in the where was it, at the crypto arena at the Staples Center or whatever. Yeah. It's the universe is lined up finally, and it just feels different. It feels different. I wanted to compare it to a false start. We have had problems on our line, false starts. And it just feels like now I'm
writing that down.
We can smooth it out. Everybody gets the job. And what I really want to talk about, I hate when, and you can see it, when politics infiltrate a program. And somebody is starting because they were promised something, and you can tell by their performance that they don't deserve it. We can go by it.
Sounds like you're talking about the linebacker room for a while now, but yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And quarterback that transferred to other places that wore number one. But I feel like politics, I can't stand it. And what I really want to talk about, when it comes to a senior or a person who doesn't have years of eligibility left. And I like Marks and running backs that we've had before to have, transferred in. But I just feel like with Brian Jackson, that big body running back, he can alleviate so many things by pounding inside, because he showed it against Texas A&M. you have a big running back that can hurt the defense, because you could tell that after a while they didn't want to tackle him. They avoided tackling him. So I just think, like, even if he's a freshman, if you start him by punishing the defense with inside runs, eventually you then input Marks and he breaks a 50-yarder. Or you input somebody who's shifty, and like the defense is so tired of tackling Brian Jackson that a little running back comes in and breaks into the house.
Well, he's
and
not
it's just
little.
like the Thunder and Lightning is Lindell White. What was that?
Well, I'll say he's not little, but get ready for some Wayman Jordan. I don't think I can sell his stock any harder than many people already have. But I
love people players. Yeah,
he's gonna be something. And then Eli Sanders, if you want that Thunder and Lightning, Eli Sanders, I'm not sure how slow his competition was, but it looked like guys moving at two different speeds. It was truly insane watching how quick he was just breaking ankles and breaking angles. That guy was just you can't teach that kind of quick.
I love that.
Yeah.
But I also think that there's a area for Brian Jackson to punish the defense. And I just, like what I was saying, going back to Lindell White, he would always damage in the middle of the gut, and then all of a sudden Reggie get the ball. They're all tired of tackling Lindell. Reggie breaks into the house. But Lindell White has already put in that those tough yards, those 2, 3, and then 5 yard runs. You know what I'm saying? So I just think, like, and when it comes to players, though, sometimes politics enter a program, and I feel like if we have the right structure, that'll be alleviated to where that doesn't matter. Because Pete Carroll always had, if he said if it was a tie between a freshman and a senior, he was going to play the freshman. Like, I want to get back to that, when the talented incoming freshmen are challenging the seniors for playing time, because that just makes the whole roster better. That makes those rooms better.
Did you guys see that show? I think sorry to cut you off, Rick. Did you guys see that show? Speaking of Pete Carroll and that competition thing you saw, Pete Carroll competition, everything. Did you guys watch the the interview with the Matthews brothers? Have you guys anyone out there, if you're watching, if you haven't seen that, just look it up. It was something special, because he basically, Pete would tell these guys, you better play, you better play, because you see all these guys, freshmen coming in the fall. You better show it in the spring, because in the fall, all these guys, and they would make them watch the film of all these 5 stars that are coming in. And he'd say to them, "These guys are coming for your job." It did light a fire. Competition, you had ones going against the ones. I mean, I'm sure that John Walker could probably tell you all day long about that kind of stuff. And it's just something special that I don't know if they're going to do. Pete Carroll was just, like, let's face it, Pete Carroll's a unique human being. And by the way, where was he? I wanted to say, congratulations to Raider Trojan, because you guys got Pete Carroll for 3 to 4 years. So congratulations.
You can count on a solid defense, I can tell you that much.
But Pete's just a unique person. I don't know that you, like Camelot, you can never go back, right? You can never go back. I'm thank God that I got to live through it. I'm glad I lived through Hackett and everyone laughing at us. Oh, did the Bruins and their stupid 8 clap? They were laughing their asses off. The Domers were laughing their asses off. Actually, even Hackett was actually beating the Domers, so that's not the same thing. But that made the living guys, Trojans out there right now, all the shit they're talking right now, all these Big Ten teams telling what we can't do, we won't do. It makes it, oh my God, it makes it that much sweeter when we kick the shit out. We're going to kick the shit out of them. Yeah. And it's going to make it that much sweeter, you guys, because we lived through this, right? And all the things people are saying about USC, and when we had the previous coaching staff and those years of all that crap, and then coaches falling over themselves after the sanctions, it's going to make it so much sweeter when USC is kicking the crap out of everybody, because nobody has a higher ceiling, and I mean this, than USC. Yep. When we're rolling, when we get the pieces together, when the band gets back together, nobody can touch us. Nobody can touch us. What they're afraid of. And that's why I talk so much shit, because they know when USC does put together, it's back in business.
Well, that's why with this young new group of dynamic coaches that we have, like guys like in the Savage out there recruiting, and Chad Bowden today, guys like that. I can't wait till we get back to that where America just couldn't stand us. Everybody feared us. We could walk into Auburn and people would just fear us, man. We'd go and destroy people, and we'd go to Arkansas and beat them by 10 touchdowns. Everywhere we went, we had that aura of invincibility, and it was a lot of California boys, and they're getting back to that. They're pounding the pavement. They're out there getting these California boys back in there, because you know what? We walk around with that chip on the shoulder because these guys are sick of people saying that we're soft. They're sick of they're hearing that all the time. And that's why I can't wait till we're getting that. We're getting those tough guys in here, and and I can't wait to see that again, Tim. You get me fired.
I can't wait. It's what gets me up in the morning. Look, I'm not kidding when I tell you guys that. It was grim. When I went to USC, we had Hackett was the coach.
That was the worst. That was the worst.
It was the absolute worst. And then my senior year in the spring, this guy was playing basketball. I saw him in the PE building. And I look in there, and I'm like, someone says Pete Carroll. I'm like, oh. And then I watched spring practice. I'd sit there with my econ book and just watching, just reading, because practices were open back then, and just listening to all the popping going on. It was a great time. And so then we finally started winning again after all this shit. All my UCLA friends and all my Notre Dame friends, and it just kind of got quiet, didn't it? And that was such a lovely feeling, hearing all these big mouths get quiet. And that's going to happen again soon.
Yeah, dominate, man. But yeah, those are some good times there. They really are. Is Rich still on the phone?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. Yeah, Rich. No, I agree with you. With as far as the running backs go, there's going to be competition there, Rich, this year. They're loaded. I'm anticipating. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe all of them will stick around. Who knows? But for the most part, though, they're going to be fighting for some playing time in a good way, though. It's good competition that they're bringing this year. You get guys that want to prove something to see if they can play at this level, like an Eli, like Sanders that came out of New Mexico. He's a former track athlete, has tons of speed. And then you got Waymon, Mr. Waymon Jordan. That guy is phenomenal. He's a little bowling ball. The guy is just ready to come in and prove himself at this level, and it's going to push the Brian Jacksons and the Peters. It's going to push this entire room. I love it. I'm really excited about it, Rich. We got exactly what you're talking about. That competition will be there. I guarantee you that.
All right, Rick.
I got another thing coming about.
Yeah.
All right. I cannot understand why Lincoln Riley has such a difficult of time management at the end of second quarters and at the end of games. I can't understand why he can't get it. And I want to give an example because it was so hilarious against Texas A&M when they were driving and they had 2 timeouts available, and he was waiting and the clock is running and they were short from getting a first down. And you either call a timeout, and I believe it was third down. They end up getting it, but 21 seconds ran off the clock. So we end up getting the touchdown the following play to the receiver, 81. I'm just drawing a blank. Yeah. But we used the timeout. We had 1 remaining. And I'm like, so we go to kickoff, and I tell my wife, just squib it. Just squib kick the kickoff. He uses another timeout before the kickoff. And I'm like, well, why did you leave the timeout to use it on a kickoff, and he ended up just kicking it regular? He didn't even squib kick it. And I'm just like, that is an example. The example against Penn State when Miller Moss threw the interception. Before that, so much time ran down. And I just feel when he let so much time run down, you put your player in a more tense situation.
Rick, okay, hold on.
I think when
you just picked a scab, yeah, Rick, that I gone to bat a couple of times on with people. And
I'm sorry.
Either they hate me or they well, a lot of them hate me anyway, but it doesn't matter. Point is, it's clear what Lincoln Riley was doing in the Penn State game. Penn State was moving the ball. We also have seen how our defense was holding up with our lack of depth late in games. The last thing you wanted to do if you did not get a first down is give Penn State time to go down there. And for them,
gassed, completely gassed.
So I hear you, but USC's at home. Yes, you play for the win. It wasn't like you were conceding, and let's face it, Miller Moss steps up and he uncharacteristically sails that ball. If Deuce catches that ball, which was tie, if Deuce can't get it, nobody's going to get it. We're in field goal range, and we're lining up to, end the game with our kicker on the field, not the other way around. And so I get what you're saying.
But you had to run in so much time. No, that much.
Did you want to stall out at midfield and give them 2 minutes to play?
No, it wasn't that much.
A minute 30?
It went from like 41 to 17.
No, but I mean on the drive, people complain not just about that. They complain about how much time USC took to move the ball. You did not want to even listen. If you're at midfield, I thought they were more. Yeah, I think he wanted to run the clock down as much as possible. So if they do miss the field goal, they're not 2 or 3 passes away from being in field goal range themselves. I get why he did it. He wanted to get the ball, kick a field goal for the walk-off. That was why they were running clock. I get that. People say, "Oh, rah-rah, you get rah-rah." Go, "Oh, no, we should be going for the touchdown. We should be winning. We should." Okay, maybe we could do in hindsight say that's the way we should have done it. But
I didn't think going for a touchdown. I didn't think going for a touchdown. I thought going for the field goal was a proper thing. I just think if that's on the mind to go for the field goal,
right? But why would you want time on the?
It was.
If you're saying your plan is to go for the field goal, why do you want to leave Penn State time?
Yeah, they were driving on us. Yeah.
Even 30 seconds.
But I don't know. I think you have a little bit more faith in D'Anton Lynn's defense. I know 44 was going crazy. I know they couldn't guard him for anything. Yeah. But, I mean.
Do you remember?
You would expect to, squib kick it then, tackle him at the 20-25. And then have them earn it after that, though.
I have mad
respect to earn 50 yards.
I got you. I have mad respect for Lynn's defense, but if in the game we're talking about here, USC gave up 2 4th and longs, and they marched right down the field and they scored. That was the previous drive, correct? If I'm incorrect, am I correct? Am I correct on that? The previous drive.
I get you. Yeah.
Okay. So listen. Here's Rick. Here's the thing. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm trying to push you back from saying that you're so sure that it was a bad call and it was poor clock management. Poor clock management to me is when we had Paul Hackett, my senior year, call a timeout because the clock was running down. They go out there and they get a delay of game. That's literally a true story. So to me, that's bad clock management, right? That's I support more execution. But anyway, my point is Lincoln Riley knew it. He explained it in the press conference right afterwards what he was doing. It does make sense. I get some people want to be more aggressive. I heard people saying, well, it put too much pressure on Miller Moss, and that's why he overthrew it. No, he didn't. He makes that throw 1,000 times in his career, and he hits it most of the time. And on that play, he's a quarterback, and it sailed. Quarterbacks, if you throw the ball 50 times a game, I got news for everyone. Sometimes you throw interceptions. So we did this all last year, and I'm sorry I brought it up, but people want to people just want to make it one thing. It just seems like it's always one thing everyone wants to hang it on, and the fact is the clock management on that series. Now there were other times where I cut it. There's head scratchers. I remember saying, "Geez, why is this going on?" But on that occasion, myself, there's no way to know because if he makes that catch, we kicks a touchdown. We're not even talking about his clock management, are we? It was a perfect execution. Would have been right. Penn State would have had no time to come back down.
Okay. How about this game? At Minnesota when he tried to, was it a shovel pass to Marks? Where if you're going to run that, you just should run a delay so that the clock keeps running. And running a shovel pass when it's an incomplete, now the clock stops. I think that was a possession where we had to give up the ball, but if he would have just continued, because Marks was balling, I believe, at Minnesota, and if we just give it to Marks instead of that shovel pass, it would have definitely made a difference with the time.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, again, we could do Monday morning quarterback all day long. I get you. I wish they'd run the ball more. I mean, you have a running back as special as Woody Marks. The fact, why didn't we give Quinton Joyner maybe 5 or 6 more carries? Because he showed he could bust one at any moment. I mean, who knows? Give him 5 to 6. You give him 5 to 6 more carries a game. How many long 75-yard runs will we have had over the season?
On top of that, Tim, our field goal, let's just say our special teams it was off and on. I mean, there was times where we struggled. We even struggled with point afters. I mean, it was that bad at times, but it's something that couldn't be counted on. And I don't know, maybe that factored into some of the play calls.
Well, I mean, Quinton didn't do himself any favors turning the ball over. I mean, that's a fact. But overall,
he went to the super doghouse after that.
Yeah, I think. Well, I mean, here's the thing: people don't know though. Think about this. I remember people talking to me like, "Well, it was only a couple times he fumbled." You been at practice? I'm not saying he did. But what if he's having trouble holding on to the ball at practice? And they're saying, "Hey, dude, hold on to that ball," and then you go in the game. And I don't know. This is pure speculation. I have nothing on this. But that for him to go in that, like you said, in that doghouse like he did. God, I hope there is something, because that's so much talent that was wasted last year if that wasn't the case. But hey, Rick, appreciate your call, man. Thank you so much for calling in. That was a call, man.
Fight out, Rick.
Cool. I'm excited. I'm excited, guys. It's finally falling into place.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
You got it, Rick. You got it.
Great call.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to get over that. It's just the hairs on the back of my neck up when I hear that.
It's so hard to explain to people that we are not coaches. You don't know what scenario these coaches are working on the sideline, what they're thinking. Of course, there's times where, it happens all the time. You look throughout any NFL game on a Sunday, how many clock management situations come up? Guys have been fired for it. Eberflus and look how many times Campbell's done it. But it's just one of those things where it's just, I don't know, coaches, it just happens to the best of them. And so, I'm not trying to defend Lincoln Riley because I know he makes mistakes. I know he does. But at the same time, I just don't want to ever put myself in the situation where I'm thinking like I know more than these coaches.
Well, there is a lot that we don't know on the sidelines, etc. That's why us weekend warriors, when we try to say, well, he should have done this, he should have done that. There's so much information we're not privy to. And I'm not coming down on Rick. I mean, a lot of what Rick says makes sense. But it just comes down to, like you said, these coaches make these calls. They look like geniuses and it work, and then everyone's out with their torches if it doesn't work. I mean, that's why they get paid the money they get paid. Miller makes that throw. Come on, guys. I mean, even the Miller haters out there, and there's plenty of them. Believe me, I've been doing this long enough. He makes that throw 8.5, 9 times out of 10. I mean, he certainly is not going to sail that thing over Deuce's head that many, very often. So it was a great play call. It should have been executed. If it had been executed, we would be talking about a win over Penn State at home.
Exactly.
We would. So, but that's why they play the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we don't have any calls.
Okay.
It's Friday night. It's about 8:00. I need to refill my drink.
But honestly, one thing I wanted to chime in about Rob Ryan is, if you don't mind, Tim, just give me 1 second. I just wanted to.
No, I'll go wet my whistle. Yeah, keep going.
So Rob Ryan, guys, this is such an exciting hire just for me because, my brother covered sports in the Bay Area. So I got to see a lot of this up close and personal. I was living in the Bay Area at the time when he was hired on as defensive coordinator. And what people all just right away, they see that he's old or, that he played for the Patriots or whatever. I got to see him. What impressed me most about Rob Ryan is his development of players. You look at what he did with some of these Raider players, Anandi Asamoah. You look what he did with Danny Clark, a linebacker that was a washout, a University of Miami star, ends up coming to the NFL, struggles. He turns into a really solid NFL player. Napoleon Harris, a draft pick from Northwestern who was just had all the talent in the world. He thrives in under Rob Ryan's tutelage. And you see what he does with these exotic blitzes. What he makes him so special is he likes guys that are versatile and then he works with us, especially when the defensive front is strong. Rob Ryan thrives with those exotic blitzes, his creativity. He's like a mad scientist out there. But you know what? A lot of USC fans have been saying that we have no energy on the sidelines, that we're just standing there and no one's doing anything. Well, now you got that energy because you're going to see this guy walking, pacing back and forth, educating, teaching, constantly teaching. And that's what makes him so special. Not only does he come from football royalty, his dad was one of my favorite coaches of all time, but you look at his ability to work with these young men and not only teach them about the game of football, but teach them how to become men. That's what Rob Ryan's going to do for us at our program. This is a cultural grand slam, a cultural hit for us. It's going to change this culture at USC. It's going to make these guys, it's going to turn these guys into men. They're going to be fundamentally sound. One thing about Rob Ryan's defense, not just with linebackers, but defense in general, it's superior tackling. He prides himself on that. But once again, guys that are versatile, he likes those corners that are to be strong and tough, and he works well. D'Anton Lynn has raved about him and Gus Bradley because those are his idols. These are guys that he looks up to. And for him to bring in such a guy like Rob with all this experience, it just goes to show you, for Rob to buy into it and say, you know what, I'm there for you. That's because he sees the potential there. Same thing with Chad, with Chad Bowden today. If he didn't see the potential that we have here with Lincoln and what they're putting together, then this guy would have never come here. He turned down Michigan just to go back to Notre Dame and work with Marcus Freeman there and to build that program. And so for him to leave is pretty much his best friend, his right-hand man, to come there. That's what makes this hire so amazing. But getting back to Rob, families are going to love this guy. He's going to walk into this house. He's going to do great in recruiting. He's going to teach these guys how to become NFL players. But not only that, productive individuals, productive men in society. And that's what I got to say about Mr. Rob Ryan, folks.
I think that USC is selling the NFL pedigree.
You got it. That's exactly.
I think SC's talking with Coach Henney and with Rob Ryan about some rings, and what they bring. I think they're probably talking about just like Coach Henney did talk about Aaron Donald. You have Rob Ryan. I'm sure you could fill in more people for him, but those Patriot teams, you have Brewski and Willie McGinst.
Yeah,
there's a lot to look at, and we talk about all the time the guy that we want. So if we want to talk about those 5 stars, you guys, if we want to talk about those high-end 4 stars, those guys all see themselves being in college for 3 years and going to the NFL and getting that rookie contract and then moving on to their big contract, right? That's what they're thinking in their lives. Just a lot of them just want to make the NFL. Look at our defensive coaching staff now. Look who we have.
Oh, solid.
You walk into living rooms now, and there's a lot to sell about USC. There's a lot to sell about, it's one thing, it's one thing to be part of a tradition. It's another thing to bring back a tradition. I mean, they could sell that. You guys will be, you want to be this guy who's like, they win 11 games every season. Come to SC and be part of that group, be like that group that Pete Carroll had, right? Be like a guy like a Sean Cody, build together that wild bunch, Omar Nazel and that Wild Bunch 2 group. Be a part of those guys that turned USC around and made them, sure, as always, the quarterback, the wide receiver, the running backs get all of the hype, but it's that defense, the Pete Carroll defense that turned it around. They're probably gonna say the same thing. Sure, the quarterback, Lincoln's gonna have his Heisman. We got a 5-star quarterback, but come in here, we'll develop you for 3 years, and you're gonna go to the NFL. And an extra 150,000, 200,000 that some school is gonna give you, it won't matter. It just won't matter.
It won't matter.
So hopefully the star-studded NFL cast they put together is going to pay dividends. I know one thing though. I do know this. I like the fact, and I haven't talked about this yet, and I can't wait to talk to Will ND about it. I can't wait to talk to him about how much, because look at the Notre Dame just lost 3 offensive linemen, and they're not too worried about it because they're stockpiling offense. I mean, Gabe and I talked about this a couple. They had their starting left tackle go down in the spring or early on the season. True freshman steps up, and he's like amazing. Those guys are putting together, and they're not. I think one of the guys in the chat was talking about that. Hey, it's not like they're bringing a bunch of 5-stars into Notre Dame, but look where they got. Having Mike Denbrock, that kind of helps. The coaching staff, that kind of helps. But overall, look at how well these guys have performed. So, hey, we got another call. You ready, Paulie?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right, hey, caller, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Tom. And how confident are you guys with the offensive line? I haven't heard a lot of talk about it. I've heard a lot of talk about the deep of the line, the depth, but I know Shaun Nua and Elijah Page are pretty much fixtures. One game for Tobias Raymond. But the center, the new center, I've forgotten the name, but he's had experience. But from what I just hear a lot of the front line, and I didn't hear a lot about the depth. I know you had Trader on here. He sounded intriguing. He's a big guy too. How confident are you guys with the offensive line? Because with the running backs, that stable, that looks like an all-star running back there. So if they can get holes with an offensive line, it's going to be a really successful season.
Well, we got some big dudes.
Yeah, there's some guys. Yeah, definitely, Tim.
We have dudes, and like you brought up Big General Reed, the young man like we brought her from Syracuse, and Killian O'Connor, who stepped in and he's played. Obviously, we lose Monheim, but I've been high on this. If you want to hype the offensive line, you've come to the right place because I've been doing it for about 3 years now.
Yes,
and
Trader.
I'm super excited across the line.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Elijah Page is going to be something super special. I mean, I just showed you Tobias Raymond. He's massive and coming along. Yeah. We have guys we haven't even talked about. Again, I bring it up over and over again. People have forgotten about Hayden Treater. People have forgotten, about the class. Well, I'm just talking about the class we just brought in.
Yeah.
And what people do have to remember is there were injuries. Oh, Micah Banuelos hurt his arm. We haven't seen him yet. Am I saying all these guys are all Americans? No.
Yeah.
None of these guys were big names or 4 and 5 stars. The only 4-star we just talked about on that whole group, I think, is Elijah Page.
Yeah.
But
is it Tom? Do you mind if I chime? Tom, right? That's who the caller is.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom. So you know what? You look at the development as the year went on, and when Tim's been hyping up these offensive linemen for the longest time, and you know what? Even when it was going bad, we tried to stay as positive as possible because we saw the upside in a lot of these players. And if you notice throughout the year, they started really becoming technically sound. I know there were some holes in some of the guys that we had there, but the Tim's right when he talks about this class that we're bringing in. There's a kid that just flipped on North Carolina that's coming in, and he's the prototypical left tackle with those long arms, really talented guy. And then on top of that, you got a guy like Micah Banuelos who's just that grind it all, do it all kind of guy, versatile. And we're going to bring in some other guys. I know there's talk and there's some really the big time names potentially hitting the portal, but as far as our development goes, our offensive line coach, the transition that we made recently it was a home run as well. I think they you look at Dunn as well. He's another freshman that's coming in. I think we need some more veterans, obviously, but we're in good hands, I think, with some of these youngsters. I think they're ready to take that next step. I think what's changing so much in today's today's game is that these guys don't have time to be young anymore and learn. They're being forced to play. You look at rosters all across the country. These guys are having to jump in and play immediately in a lot of places. But you know what? I mean, you don't want to have to depend on that a whole lot. But with the guys that stuck around, I'm pretty happy with them, especially the center we got. I think he's all world. I watch a lot of ACC football, and he's a monster. That guy really has bad intentions. When he snaps that ball, he's out there doing that. So I'm really excited to see him as well, Tom.
And Makassaina, I mean, I remember him. I haven't heard. I thought he was putting some weight on or whatever. But there's going to be there. I believe the evaluations that were made as well. As far as Hansen, if he coaches and recruits like he coached and recruit tight ends, then we're in a good place.
Oh yeah,
USR. I don't think Henson everyone was all over Henson, but I think he always did a great job. And if recruiting is what we want to do, look at what we just did. Look how they closed out with the recruiting class. So I think we're set at offensive line, but bringing in the new GM, how quickly but how quickly we can find out if I want to find out, I want to find out how quickly was it him? How instrumental was he in scouting out and recruiting those linemen they're bringing at Notre Dame? I don't know how influential or what a big deal these young bumper crop of offensive linemen were, but if he was instrumental in that, that's what we need to do. I think we need our offensive linemen to make that next step up. We're going to need to rely on the run game this year for sure.
Yeah.
And if they aren't what I think they are, we might be in for a long season.
Yeah.
That bowl in Las Vegas was a godsend. If we hadn't made that, we would probably not experience Tobias Raymond and Tua Nua.
Yeah. You're right. Tom knows his stuff.
Well, that's
it was a blessing. They got baptism by fire, and they performed well. So that gives us a little bit more optimism.
3-star out of Huntington Beach. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get more exciting than that when you have a true freshman come in and again, Henson did not get his due. And I on this show, roll the tape, go back a couple of years. For 2 years, I've been defending Henson. And I'm glad I did, because I think I turned out in the end to be right.
You did. He really showed it at the end there. Alani Noah was Alani Noah was just horrible for a while there. But you look at him now; he's made leaps and bounds. His improvement. He never gave up, and I attribute a lot of that to that coaching staff they have there.
Even Elijah Page got off to a real slow start. He had a couple games at the start that didn't look like he was going to fulfill his promise, but he came on. So, thank you though. But I think the way the offensive line goes, we would contribute to a really exceptional season. I think the rest of the positions, I think, can work from there.
Well, look at all the exceptional seasons USC has had. It's usually come with having an exceptional offensive line.
Yeah,
I mean, they usually go hand in hand for USC, and most schools. Really.
Ron Yeri,
Baselli.
You're going way back there, Tom.
Thank you, then.
All right.
Ron Yeri. I haven't heard that in a while, Tom.
Going back to the OJ years.
All right. Take care.
All right. Thank you, Tom.
Fight on, Tom. Fight on.
Tom and my dad could have a conversation over a couple cocktails about the late 60s and into the 70s, and talking about those all being we had one of the big highlights, the highlight without a doubt. Sorry, Hayden Treater. We had one time we were lucky enough to have on, because my dad knows DD and the greatest, like without a doubt in my mind. And the people start spreading stuff around, but DD and Anthony Munoz, friends of my mom and dad, and so we just were able to have him on the show. And I remember just listening to him talk about just forget like All-American after All-American.
Wow.
Forget all pro after all pro. No, we're talking multiple Hall of Fame offensive linemen that are on that 78, 79 squad that just it's just insane.
Greatest left tackle of all time.
Without a doubt in my mind.
Yeah, no doubt. And
the Bruins always speak up about Ogden, and people bring stuff in, but I'm telling you that that man redefined that position.
Yeah, no offensive lineman trained in the offseason running 6 miles every day after games, even after games like Anthony Munoz did.
He talked about that, and he talked about how being a multi-sport athlete, like he wanted to be a baseball player, and he was a baseball player at USC. Can you imagine looking at the mound and seeing that guy?
That monstrosity.
I'd be so far back in that batter's box, and probably like barely inside the batter's box in the back right-hand corner.
Forget about it.
That must have been terrifying. Looking at him on the mound, that must have been all the hair, Anthony's big hair back then sticking out of the sides. I can't imagine how he got a hat to fit that. But I mean, that was probably pretty imposing.
Yeah, you got that right, man. You got that right.
Well, you guys, it's I think about that time. But before we get out here, Gil Romero, thank you so much. Great show, guys. Can you guys confirm that the portal is done? Fight on. So the portal's closed, but you're seeing, like you saw with so when I got the text originally about Will ND, my friend who's a Notre Dame fan, says, hey, listen, you know what? You guys can go ahead and you could have them because we'll take Madden and KVA.
KVA.
Right.
Oh, wow.
And from we talked about Bosco messing around. And I'm like, what's he talking about? I'm like, oh, did we get one of those linemen? And so the reason why those linemen, those Notre Dame linemen, are because they're grad transfers. So there's no window. They can transfer at any time. So that part of it is wide open. They're still out there. But as far as the portal, it won't open up again until late spring, correct? So
yes.
Usually that's right after. That's the next wave because you could have a lot of guys on a lot of stock and stacked rosters, kind of like you had Bear Alexander. I know no one wants to hear that name anymore, but when you're a talented athlete, whether you have it all together upstairs or not, and you realize that you're behind 2 or 3 other guys, and you're getting not enough playing time. You want to showcase what you can do. You're gonna go into spring ball, realize that you're second or third on the depth chart, and you're gonna start looking around. And get ready for some of the biggest names we've pulled in have been in that late. We talked about Jordan Addison earlier. Addison came late. We who else? We've had numerous guys that came late in that second cycle. I would say usually though the best players go in the first one, but I can imagine. I would have to. I don't know, Paul. You could probably help me out with this one, but I would imagine that Bowden has his foot in the door with some of these guys. I mean, no doubt about it.
New
names we probably haven't even looked at yet. That whether it was in previous years that he's familiar with, or if he was actively working with some guys. I don't know how ethical that is, but let's face it, it happens. Look for some new names to pop on the radar. I would imagine that would be the case. I don't know, but I would think that would be the case, Paulie.
Yeah, there's going to be a whole evaluation process once he comes on board. I'm thinking maybe what next week he'll be here, or this coming week. I know he's gonna come in here, and I know there's probably people on the radar that they're gonna want, and the holes that need to be filled. But I'm not even doubting it anymore. Trust in the process. That's what I always tell Tim. Trust in the process. Because,
I told people last night that you're trust in the process idea. I did. If you go watch the show from last night that I did with Preston, I absolutely brought up and I gave you. I gave you.
Oh, thank you, man. Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't steal. Hey, if I say something, I say who it came from. I'm not gonna sit here and take other people's stuff. That's
that's I'm excited. I'm just gonna see, but like you said, you hit it right in the head with these. Some of these grad transfers, they're just looking for an opportunity to come and make the best out of it. Some are maybe fringe NFL prospects that want an opportunity somewhere where they can come in and compete. You get guys that just want to play for the love of the game. The guys that have just given their heart and soul to this football. They could play at Brown or Yale or whatever. It doesn't matter. They're just diehard football guys that want to continue to play. And there's nothing wrong with them. Sometimes those guys are the ones that can get you to that next level. You never know.
All right. Well, I dropped a link in the chat just now. Now, all you people on Twitter, you're not going to know what I'm talking about. But those of you guys that are here with us at the USC Voice College Football channel, I have my own little side channel that I'm trying to get monetized. So if you guys want to pop over there at some point, either after the show or during the show towards the end, and give me a sub, I'd appreciate it. We appreciate everyone being here. And matter of fact, while you're setting some subs, if you're here, it's kind of crazy. The last show, the first time I've ever seen this, I looked at the analytics, and we actually had more people that watched the show that were already subscribed than that weren't. And that's the first time in probably 3.5 years of me looking at this analytics that happened. But we're trying to get to 6,000, and we're pretty damn close. I think we're like 10 or 15 away. I can't remember. So if you guys could bump us up over that 6,000, that's been a milestone that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. I've taken a lot of time off recently in the past 2 months, but we're here at Voice College Football where we really want to get that thing up above 6,000. So if you enjoyed any part of the show, it'd be a great way to show us your appreciation by hitting that like button, but also subscribing to the channel, because I was just live last night with Preston, and we just went, news popped, and we're going live right now. So look for more of Preston, Paulie, and myself if you guys subscribe. So appreciate everybody being here. And any final words for us, Paulie?
You know what? Like I said, continue to trust in the process. The sky is not falling all the time, man. People can just relax and really just kind of embrace this whole situation, grow. I really hope we as fans can match the intensity and the loyalty of some of these Big Ten opponents that we're playing. I'm really hoping for a big year this year, and we can show them what we're about, because when we're rolling, and I think there's a good chance that we're going to start rolling, and those people are going to want to be a part of this ride, man. And so just trust the process and believe in our guys and support them, because you know what? We're all Trojans, man. We need to get out there and really, really make an impact and show these guys that we appreciate what all they do for us, man. And that's all I got to say. Everyone have a great weekend.
Yeah. Have a safe weekend. Thank you guys all for being here. Oh, well done. Danny Kennedy, longtime member of the channel. I appreciate you fighting on another great show. Thank you for being a member. Thank you for the comment. Speaking of comments, you guys, it also helps the channel out. After the show closes, go and let us know. Do you guys feel as bullish as we do? I'm sure we get a lot. Here's the thing: I get all the haters. I get all the Ohio State and the Michigan fans. Not you, John. Not loud enough. The Oregon fans, right? They come in here and they just start talking there in my comment section. I'd love to hear some of you Trojans and they're sounding off about, what do you guys think about? I mean, we're talking about 3 significant hires that are directly going to affect the recruiting on both sides of the ball. There's literally no doubt in my mind USC will no longer be with getting a new GM in here. Having Bowden's footprint on this thing, I think there's no way with a Rob Ryan upgrade. I do think it's an upgrade. I mean, on the recruiting part of this thing, because that's why I'm not knocking Entz, but that's why he came here, is to kind of work on his FBS recruiting chops.
Exactly.
I think the name alone, Rob Ryan, is going to bring in recruits, at least have them listening, because anybody we want playing linebacker at USC has dreams and has real aspirations of being in the NFL. And that's how Pete did it. Pete brought in NFL guy after NFL guy after NFL guy. And you start rolling that kind of thing, you have the special years like we had with Pete.
Yeah.
So
and then, but you know what, Tim? Like I said, you're right. But then some of those guys that you least expect, the Clay Matthews, the Matt Castles, I can go on and on. That go from just there's unexpected guys that come in, and by development and by having that quality coaching staff, you turn those guys into stars, and that's what I'm excited about with this coaching staff. I'm ready to see who those guys that are going to step up into that role, with the ones we least expect. I'm really excited about it.
And I really like seeing JUCO players coming in, because
love it.
Yeah, because when you think about it, I thought the days that with transfer portal, right, it kind of nerfed the need to have that JUCO guy come in. But now, we're gonna you guys We're going to see some running back play. I can't wait. There's a couple positions. There are a few positions that I'm looking at that are going to be hot and fun to watch. Guard. Watch that battle at guard.
Yeah.
Cornerback.
Cornerbacks.
Watch that quarterback position.
Tight ends.
And the running backs are going to be popping.
Yeah.
The running backs, that running back room is going to be interesting to see how they go, because there's a lot of new talent that's come in. You know, you know that there was going to be a competition, but now you've added some more bodies to that competition. So it's just going to be interesting to see how that whole thing shakes out. But
also, too, Tim, the tight ends as well. You look at guys. Everybody thinks Lake has it. You know, it's but there's some Walker Lyons, talented guy, and there's some other guys on there that want a piece of the pie too. So I'm really excited to see that competition unfold right before our eyes, man. I'm ready for that one.
Hold on, I got to stall for a little bit, because I didn't do this entire time, and I do want to get on thanks. We have some really great members on this channel, and Gabe, where are you? Gabe's like gone incognito. I don't know what's happened to Gabe. But he's been so helpful with me in going in the background and helping with some of the stuff that now I'm flying without a net and I keep forgetting to do it. But thank you to all of our members. You guys do a great job supporting the channel. Thank you. We couldn't do it without you. Thank you so much to all of you. We've got guys that have been members since day one. I just saw Will ND go by there. So we have members from all different fan bases. We appreciate everyone being here. As Fight On said, you guys please do us a favor, and on the way out, hit that like button. It really, you guys understand, it really does help more than you would think. So thank you. Until the next news breaks, we will be seeing you for sure. No, Preston and I did not figure this out. Paulie and I haven't figured anything out yet, but keep an eye on us here at the Voice College Football, USC Voice College Football. We will be going live at some point. Also, tomorrow morning at 10:30, the LAFB guys, USC LAFB guys, are going live. They haven't invited me, so I don't know if I'm invited, but they will be going live at 10 a.m. So make sure you go check that out. I'm sure they'll be talking about these topics. Be a great way to catch up. Make sure you've checked out Gabe's channel. He had a great rundown. Went into some pretty deep dive for just getting the information right away. Just talking about Chad Bowden, what he thinks is going to be to the program, how he thinks he's going to help out Lincoln Riley. As we get here, as I always do, I just want to thank the people who support the shows in lots of ways. I do really appreciate. Where is it? Sorry. The people that have gone ahead and retweeted out our tweet. Thank you so much to Gil Marin and to Rusty. Thank you guys for getting out that tweet for us. Oh, is that the wrong one? Oops. No, it's not. It's the right one. Thank you guys for tweeting that out. Thank you to everyone that supports the channel. Appreciate it. Make sure you check out all of the sites and the channels here at the Voice of College Football for all your football news. Thank you guys. Have a great night, and we'll see everybody for sure Tuesday or Wednesday. I got a caller that said, "Why do you guys have such a crazy schedule?" Well, it's Tuesday or Wednesday, you guys. All right, fight on.
Fight on, everybody. Fight on.